Social media refers to the means of interactions among people in which they create, share, and exchange information and ideas in virtual communities and networks. It allows individuals to keep in touch with friends and extended family, as well as re-establish connections with long-lost friends, associates, and acquaintances. Some even use various social media applications to network and find career opportunities, connect with people across the globe with like-minded interests, and also share their own thoughts, feelings, and insights online. It is, however, unfortunate that many people use the same social media as an avenue to peddle all forms of fake information that sometimes promote misgivings, disaffection, hatred, and insecurity. Now, in what way has the social media contributed to the state of insecurity in Nigeria? What is the level of damage done to Nigeria's security mechanisms and architecture using the social media? How can we stem the tide of insecurity through social media, and what role should the conventional media play in all of this? These are some of the questions guests shall be providing answers to in the course of the program. I'm Dennis Adigunloye. Welcome to Nigeria Today. All right, with me in the studio to discuss social media and insecurity is one of our regulars, Ibrahim Modibo, Public Affairs Analyst. You're welcome once again to Nigeria Today.
Thank you very much. Good evening, Nigeria. Good evening, Dennis.
All right, welcome to you. And also joining us via Zoom is a public policy consultant, Nana Nwachukwu. Thank you for joining us.
Good evening, Dennis.
You're welcome. I'll come back to you very shortly, but let's kick off with our guest in the studio. In what ways has the social media contributed, in your view, to the state of insecurity in Nigeria?
Thank you very much, Dennis. By way of introduction, what is media? Media presupposes a means of communication amongst people, among individuals, among communities, both national and internationally. Now, look at media from the viewpoint of its placement within the society. The media, in the days gone by, we had the traditional media, which talks of the gong, town criers, and in some communities, when you see fires on the mountain, it means there's somebody that's coming to attack your community, and it sends a message to the people, so the people should get ready for war or what have you. Now we have the modern media, which has to do with newspapers, television, radio, magazines, and what have you. And then we have the new media. The new media presupposes the social media. This includes areas like, issues like the websites, where you have the blogs, you have YouTube, you have Facebook, you have Twitter handles, and so on and so forth, WhatsApp, even the telephone that you have, it's also part of the media. Now, if you look at the issue of social media is an aberration. Aberration in the sense that it is a media that comes in with modernity, but it is not following or dancing the tunes and rhythms of the professional code of ethics of journalism. The social responsibility theory of Nigerian media, or the media in general as a whole, presupposes that the media should have social responsibility. The media should be focused on telling the truth, being truthful, being objective, being fair, being thorough, being credible, and then looking at also the issue of national question. You also look at the issue of thoroughness. All these are absent in the social media. Once you have you have a tape or you have a phone, it presupposes that you are just a journalist. So these are people that are just, they're hangers on within the journalistic parlance, where somebody that will just have a phone and then a biro becomes an automatic journalist without going through the ethics, code of ethics and professional code of ethics of journalism. And the social media, within the Nigerian context, it is a very dangerous phenomenon in our national security. If you look at, we must reclaim our cyberspace, because in this area of technology and globalization, the social media plays a very fundamental role, very vital role in our national cohesion, national integration, and also it could lead to national disintegration as well. Now, the social media, if you look at Nigerians, by virtue of the global statistics, the Nigerian youth spend more than any other country's youth in sub-Saharan Africa or even in the world over, where youths have been so much attached to the social media. You see them on the phones every time, communicating on the phone. Some they don't even have time to even eat food. And therefore, we must look at the social media from the perspective of a very dangerous phenomenon. Although it's modern, it helps in bringing integration. But then, are these people trained? Do they conform with the norms, ethics and etiquette of journalism? Do they conform with the professional code of ethics of the profession? Do they also conform with the national question? The national question is of great paramount. If you look at recently, the spokesman of the Nigerian Army has been appealing to the social media space, where you see the youth bringing out pictures of our soldiers being killed, you know, on the battlefield. It is discouraging, it is disheartening, and it's even a very wicked thing to do. So the social media has no social responsibility. It has no, it doesn't got the national question as to look at the issue from the national perspective, looking at issues from a perspective where the national question comes into play, and also looking at the issues. To me, the social media, as good as it is, it has a lot of problems. It has a lot of credibility question, and it has also a lot of, because if you look at some of the players in this social media, they'll go and pick, if there's crisis in an area in Nigeria, they'll go and pick pictures, sometimes from Somalia, sometimes from Rwanda, sometimes from this thing, and they'll come and put a model and say this is where it happened in Nigeria. And that has the phenomenal capacity to bring wars, to bring conflicts, to bring crisis, and to bring national disintegration.
Sure. Let me bring our guest who I zoom in on that point. Nana Nwachukwu, public policy consultant. You've heard a lot from our guest in the studio about the lack of regulation on the social media, particularly in Nigeria's in the Nigerian context. What, in your opinion, is the level of damage done to Nigeria's security mechanism and architecture through social media?
Thank you very much, Dennis. It's been interesting listening to my co-guest talk about the dangers of social media. I see his points, however, I disagree with him to a very large extent. First of all, social media, I agree to the extent where he says that Nigeria, you know, amongst the West African countries, seems to be the one with a deeper penetration of social media, which we should actually be very grateful for. What it does here is that it provides opportunities, it democratizes opportunities for young people. It means that you can, while sitting in your house with your phone, you can become a social media manager for someone who sits in Hong Kong. It means that you can easily write a piece for someone and get paid for it. Legitimate, well-earned money. And then it also democratizes information. So saying that people do not pass through a journalism school, people do not, it sounds a little bit funny, because we all know that with our access to the internet, we provide first aid to our people at home even before we consult the doctor. While you're sitting in your doctor's office and he's telling you, oh, your child has typhoid, they're already pointing to the doctor. It seems as if there's an allergy associated with this thing because of what you're seeing on Google. And it gives the doctor maybe, okay, let me have a second look, or it gives you the interest to check out. So suddenly journalists want to monopolize, you know, information because there's social media where everybody is able to go out and say the things that they've seen. We should actually be very grateful to citizen journalists. I understand the need for caution when it comes to spreading false information, fake news, and all of that. But like our people say, you don't throw away the baby with the bathwater, right? We have to teach people. We have to understand how people react to panic information. And now the thing is this: we say that social media is contributing to insecurity in the country. How? Is it that people are not being kidnapped? Is it that there are no deaths in the places that we say people have died? So if somebody brings out an image, for instance, of something that happened in Sokoto and tells you something happened in Kaduna, where there's a problem is where nothing happened at all in Kaduna. What you would do is to correct the person and say, this image is from Sokoto. But you're not going to say, oh, you're spreading false information that something happened in Kaduna, because something did happen in Kaduna. Then what you would do as mainstream journalists, as the person who's trained for the work, is to investigate. Another thing that social media does is it helps journalists, those citizen journalists that you see, actually help the well-trained journalists, because it sends you on a sniffing trail for information. So someone tells you, on my way to work, I passed a place where there was a pool of blood. It makes you go to look and find out why there was a pool of blood, or why there was, some disagreement, or why something happened in that place. For you to report back that, oh, nothing happened, or we went there, our reporters were there. It helps you maximize your resources, because you already know where to go, where to ignore, where to chase up on news. So saying it like, oh, this is the cause of the problem, I really do disagree that this is the cause of the problem. And I do agree that in comparison to traditional methods of spreading information, like he rightly defined what the media is, and rightly gave examples of how we used to use the guns, how we used to spread information. To be honest, even back then we had fake information, fake news. Because someone tells you they're fighting in front, you see somebody running, immediately you see the person running, you start running. You pass on the information. By the time you know it, you're already telling someone that 2 villages are fighting. Meanwhile, 2 men who come from different villages are fighting, maybe over a woman or maybe over a man. You never know, right? So the fake news is not a new phenomenon. What you can say is that the presence of fast-moving information medium kind of helped to elevate or to increase the speed at which it spreads. But the idea, the false information, or that insecurity came with social media is a fallacy. It's not true, absolutely untrue. What we can see is that even the Nigerian army, the Nigerian police, there's a police complaint resolution unit, that has a handle on social media, gives it a voice. The police is able to speak up for themselves. The police is able to connect more directly with the people that they police through social media. People can report, oh, somebody at the checkpoint stole my money, and tweet at the police, and the police resolves it. A couple of days ago, the police dismissed a few officers who had collected money from someone. Where did the person make the report? On social media. Where was it amplified? On social media. Where did the police respond? Through social media. Do you understand? People feel safer using those means, and they feel closer to the people that protect them. Talking about insecurity and governance, the truth is that where there's no space for dialogue, where there's no platform for people to engage government, there's chaos. We should be really grateful to social media, because it has provided a leveled platform where you can tweet directly at your governor, where you can actually tweet directly at your president. Have you tried going to Aso Rock? Did you see the barriers that present there? You cannot make your way into Aso Rock, but you can tweet as President Muhammadu Buhari today, and you will get his attention. You can tweet at the VP, and you will get his attention. You can directly tell him the things that you assume people are preventing him from knowing by simply sending a tweet. So it makes people feel closer to government. And the truth is that we should be really, again, I'm repeating this for emphasis, should be really grateful for social media, or to social media platforms that have taken, governance and brought it a bit closer to the people, that has kind of served as a leveler. You find people making connections, engaging with work, engaging with externals on social media. You find people, the same people that you've shared false information to, trying to verify that information using social media. You can't put a baby in bad water. That's what I would say.
All right. Thanks very much for your frankness on your views on social media and how it impacts security. We'll still definitely come back to you. The program is Nigeria Today. Do stay with us. We'll be right back after we hear from some Nigerians on this issue. Stay with us.
There's nothing on earth that will not have its positive and negative side. Everything has positive and negative side. Some people may use it for their own selfish interests to create more chaos than good. That's the only area I would say, okay, yes, they are really not too good. But if they can regulate it, I think it will solve the problem.
Most people doesn't have time to listen to the original news. They pick their news from the social media and they go ahead and believe it. Because whereas most of those news are actually either they are exaggerated or they have been manipulated. So, and this goes a long way to influence people wrongly.
It tries and contributes to the objective of the terrorists. You understand? So when somebody comes and says that something like this has happened, panic is caused. It is aggravated, particularly amongst the people who are resident within that area that such a thing is said to have happened. And obviously it does not go well.
With the effort of the social media, we're able to get even more, that some of these media houses have not even known or given from them. So it has actually promoted the issue of security. From the insecurity, a lot of people are aware to be secure on their own self. So it's a very good thing. The social media actually help in promoting the issue of protection in the middle of insecurity in Nigeria.
It corrupts the mind. There are some things that they do I see children doing on social media that is not proper. It affects the life of our youth, especially the oncoming youth. You see they lack concentration in their studies and so many things, and it's from this social media, due to the things they post on social media, they think it's a real thing. You see them behaving like that. And in the positive way, some people use it to market their business. They have some news, but actually to me, if government can take control and regularize the things that they post on social media, I think we'll have a better place.
All right, you're welcome back. If you're just tuning in, the program is Nigeria Today, and we are discussing social media and insecurity with Ibrahim Modibo, public affairs analyst and public policy consultant, joining us via Zoom, Nana Nwachuku. Let me come to guest in the studio first, Ibrahim Modibo. You heard a lot of the comments Nana made prior to the break, and it would seem that some of the guests, some of the members of the public we heard there are siding with you in this debate about whether social media has an impact on insecurity. But she did make a crucial point before the break that fake news is not something that has come with the advent of social media. It has been around long before social media came into being. Just give us your thoughts on some of the disagreements that she puts on what you said.
Well, I'm sure Nena is not a journalist. If she were to be one, I would have argued with her on point of professionalism. Because I've spent almost over 35 years of active practice post-graduation, and currently I'm doing a PhD program still on social media related issues in development communication department. So what I'm trying to say here is that if you look at, there's no how you can bring a carpenter with his chisel to go and start operating in a theater in a hospital. And therefore, anybody that is so trained is a quack. It is agreed that whoever is so trained in news management, news processing, news dissemination, and also analysis based on professional code of ethics is a quack. And therefore, social media bring quacks. Look at the people that have responded. They've told us how the social media be able to influence our people. It brings panic, it brings confusion, it brings crisis, and it brings lack of credibility within the system. If you look at the social media as it is, as good as it is, we're not saying it's bad altogether. It is good because it brings the youth together. And Nigeria youth, as that woman has stated, almost over 65% of their time they spend on social media, on their phones, communicating on something that is either important or less important to their lives. So much so that now, because of this social media, children hardly learn very well in schools. They hardly concentrate to the dictates of educational demands, and also most of the times you see them preoccupied with issues that are less national importance. Social responsibility theory, as I've stated, as a practicing journalist, Nena, you should know that you must be guided by ethics and etiquette of profession. You cannot be a medical doctor if you are a carpenter, as I've stated. You cannot spring up from anywhere because of social media background and be a medical doctor or be a surveyor or an accountant. You must specialize, and therefore the media is an area of specialization. Assuming without necessarily constraining myself to some of your fundamental flaws, the logic you brought, this issue of social media, Nena, you should know that in as much as it brings coherence, it brings national integration, it is also a recipe for chaos, confusion, and crisis within the Nigerian community. Now, the social media, as I've stated earlier, in my background, I stated that there are some people that try to bring issues that are not in consonance with the dictates of the journalism. What I'm talking about is, what does journalism portend? It's a means of informing people, educating people, setting an agenda, and also trying to bring national coherence and cohabitation. But if you look at the social media, some of the ways some people handle social media, you find out that there is no national question. And national question comes and is very paramount in our own minds as practicing journalists. But I'm sorry, you are not a journalist, I'm sure, by the way you speak. You know, I know you are not a journalist, and therefore I may not argue with you on point of professionalism. But you have the right to air your own opinion. That is the beauty of democracy. Yeah. In modern democratic setup, especially in liberal democracies such as ours, people like you will be accommodated, although on a flawed logic, bearing in mind that you don't know the nuances, the dictates, and also the fundamentals of the profession. Right. And therefore, as journalists, we must abide by ethics and code of ethics of the profession based on truthfulness, based on credibility, based on national question, based on lack of divisiveness, and also based on national integration. All right, thank you, Dana.
Let's move this on a bit. Let's come back to Nana in joining us via Zoom. Could you tell us why it seems easier to share fake news on social media, and what is the implication of this on the nation?
First of all, I I want to respond to Alhaji Modibo. So first of all, I'm not a journalist, but I'm a college lecturer who teaches journalism and teaches journalists. So I'm not so sure where your assumptions are coming from. So I have taught ethics of journalism. Beyond that, I'm also a lawyer. Do you understand? So I clearly understand the tenets of journalism which I teach. So a lot of your journalists have passed through my class. That aside and that clarified, social media has rules. I also understand that some of the fears that come from, or some of the fears that come with the agitation and the advocacy comes from a lack of understanding of community rules and how they function and how it can be used, how it can also be, manipulated or designed for specific uses, news reporting, and also to be able to report a particular posting as wrong and all that. There are rules for all those things. I don't think that's in contention. And say, for instance, you're talking about the ethics of journalism. What you're saying is that we should take away freedom of information. If that's what you're saying indirectly, I don't know if you keep count, but I will tell you that there are so many times that mainstream media has had to publish a retraction, right? They've had to publish a retraction of something that they've done wrong. So the assumption that every journalist that's on TV, on radio, in the newspapers is ethical is a fallacy on its own. Do you understand? Errors do happen, but then taking away people's right to information in the name of insecurity, that's a tad over the top, in my opinion. If you ask me, I would say that the Nigerian Orientation Agency should do their job when it comes to informing people or guiding citizens on how to actually use certain platforms for the betterment of society. They need to do their jobs. Inform people, especially now. The truth is that in terms of misinformation, particularly where it targets or focuses on insecurity, there's a group of people who are targeted, who are used to spread that information. And they don't do it because they want to be journalists. They don't do it because they are on social media. That group of people is not actually young people. Research shows you that it's people from 45 and above. These are people who unsuspectingly would forward something as received, who unsuspectingly will retweet something because they are new to these platforms. They are not discerning enough to understand when something is false or how to verify something. And also because they are older, they are more prone to emotional reactions when they see pictures of blood or when they see something where they tell you AAA is going to shut down WhatsApp platform.
Okay.
Don't do that. Or things like that.
All right.
You understand?
Yeah.
So the age group that is most hit, or the age group that this whole issue of insecurity focuses on, is actually the older generation, the people who read newspapers, who watch TV, who listen to the radio.
All right, so
I don't know. Sorry, I'm getting an interference.
Yeah, I'm afraid our time is actually up. It looks like we're going to need part 2 on this particular topic. Hopefully we'll have you both back in very soon. Thank you, Nana Nwachukwu, public policy consultant. Many thanks for sharing your thoughts and your perspective with us and being so open and frank about your position on this matter. Thank you.
I'm sorry, I didn't get the last thing you said.
I'm appreciating you for your thoughts and perspectives on the topic. Our time is up. I just wanted to thank you for being so open and frank with us, and hopefully we'll have you again very soon. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dennis. Thank you. It was nice having this conversation.
You're welcome. And thanks also to our guest in the studio, Ibrahim Modibo. Thanks also for your thoughts and perspectives on this topic. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, Dennis, and I appreciate Nena for this intellectual engagement.
Very intellectual. Certainly hope we have part 2. Thanks to you out there for watching. Nigeria Today is live at 7:30 in the evening. Every weekday you can also watch this and other editions on youtube.com/NTA News 24 Hub. I'm Dennis at Degundoya. Thanks for your time.